Hi you guys, welcome back to the show. If you're new to the show, my name is Brad. This is the Firefighter's Financial Toolbox, where we talk about all things finances, investing, and how to save for retirement. Today, we're going to do things a little different. Today, I want to take a step back and I want to talk to my 20-year-old self. Because I know that I've made mistakes in my financial life, be it investing, be it credit, all these things. And there's 4 things that I'd like to go back and tell myself. And I'm going to break it down and talk about them in each section. If you're new to the channel, think about subscribing. It really helps the algorithm. And if you like it, give me a thumbs up. If there's something I mentioned that you agree with or disagree with, you guys put it in the comments for me. All right, so let's get started. If I could talk to my 20-year-old self, this guy, first thing I would tell my 20-year-old self is start building credit early. Now, why do I say that? Because back then, I didn't think about it. Now, I will preface that comment with start credit building early, but stay out of debt. So when I was in the Army, and I was in the Army until I was about 22, I paid for everything with cash on my debit card. I had no credit card. When I got back to the United States after spending almost 5 years in Europe, I couldn't get a credit card. I couldn't even get a Visa at all. Back then they didn't have secured credit cards. I had no credit, so I couldn't even get one. My wife and I finally got our first credit card. Actually, she did, and it was from Nordstrom's. And I think it had like a $100 limit. But anyway, we would go to Nordstrom's, and let me preface it with that we couldn't afford to buy things at Nordstrom's at that time. We were poor. But we would buy maybe a pair of socks, and we would pay it off each month. We spent little amounts on it over and over until then we got, I think our second credit card was an Old Navy card, which I don't even know if those are still around, but anyway. And after a year or so of that, we were able to get our first Visa card, and we both were able to get it. But we always tried not to build a big debt pile with it. We didn't go out and spend the max and then pay the minimum. We did the opposite. We would spend the minimum, we would spend a little bit on it, and then we would pay it off every monthly. And this helped us out a lot, you guys, because if you get behind in credit card debt, you know the average credit card debt is over 16% right now. I think it's 16.7%-ish, somewhere in there. It's a lot, and that is going to add up a lot. Second thing I would tell my 20-year-old self is start investing early. Another thing that I didn't personally do because I didn't have the money. I lived on I have this many dollars for my paycheck, I can spend this many, and that's what we did, right? If I made $500 a month, I had $499 to spend, and I'd still have money left in my checking account. It literally was that bad. I realize now that I needed to save and then spend. I used to think, well, when I get the next raise, I'll spend the money from the raise and invest it. Well, the problem with that is it never happens. Save first, spend what's left over. Now, I realize as a 20-year-old, you don't have much money. I can say this as a 50-year-old who is making the biggest money of his lifetime. It's a lot easier to save when you have more money. I get it. But with the new platforms out there, you guys, you can start investing in an ETF, and either an S&P 500 ETF or a total stock market index ETF for the price of one share. You could get, now if you like apps, M1 Finance. Now, M1 Finance, to open a Roth IRA, it does have a $500 minimum. So save up $500, open it up, and then you can add bits of money to it every month. You could add $50 a month. That little balance compounded times the number of years that you have for it to build and compound is going to make a huge difference. The time that you have as a 20-year-old makes the money worth so much more in future dollars. Okay, third thing I would say is avoid lifestyle creep. So we talked about as you get older, usually your salary increases. You start making more money. And it's real easy to see, hey, the neighbors just got a new car. I'd really like to go buy a new car. and keep up with the Joneses. Here's the thing. The Joneses next door, they're up to their eyeballs in debt, you guys. A lot of them are. Now, maybe that's not every single neighbor you have, but a lot of people feel like they have to have a new car or they have to have some shiny new thing, whatever that thing is, a boat, an RV, pick your poison, right? Whatever it is, they all cost money. Now, I'm not saying don't live your life, but if you continually keep creeping up with more and more stuff, pretty soon you've spent money buying these things that you may or may not get use out of, and you're not saving for your retirement. Delayed gratification is a hard concept, but it's necessary. Someday you will be ready to retire or whatever, and if you don't have enough saved, it's not going to be very much fun. Fourth thing I would tell myself as a 20-year-old is this: keep life as simple as possible. Now, this sounds kind of cliche, I get it, but not everything in life has to be complicated. Find things that you like to do and do them. Try to keep yourself in decent shape, right? Your health is your biggest asset to me. Family. Now, some people get along with their family, some people don't. But I think of family, having lost both my parents, family to me is my wife's family. My wife and I have been together for almost 30 years, and I can't think how I would have ever gotten through this life without her. So, Tina, thank you. But sometimes when things got complicated, we just looked at the whole picture and said, how can we simplify this? How can we go back to a simpler life and be happy? And it turns out for us, in our case, most of the time, the simpler we made things, the more enjoyment we got out of them, and the more we appreciated them long term. So you guys, 4 things to my 20-year-old self that I would go back and say, hey, these are mistakes that you made. I want to tell you how you can change it. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, you'll get notified. I make about 2 videos a week usually. If you got something out of this, please give me a like. It really helps the algorithm. I realize this is a little bit different than my normal thing, but I started thinking, I keep doing all these portfolio updates and showing these big, I'm putting $100 a week into my dividend portfolio and it's growing this much. Well, my dividend portfolio really is a small part of my total portfolio. My total portfolio actually has broken $1 million. And I was hesitant to say this when it happened because I don't want to come across as bragging or being above others, because I understand that that's a huge number, but it was really a lot of work for me and I'm proud of myself for it. My wife and I have saved diligently. We max out our workplace plans every year, being 50 each of us now. That's $50,000 just for 401k, my 457, plus all the other things that we do in our taxable account and on our Roths, you guys. Because I plan to retire in 5 years, and I don't want to have to worry about eating canned beans because we don't have enough money to survive on. All right, thanks a lot.